If you guys remember last month that we took a look at a couple of projects we started. We started a motorcycle for Abate. If you remember, Tim from Cycle Nation delivered us some parts. You remember last month. We got the idea going, and we delivered the parts back to them. They reassembled the bike. Now that's not something we normally do, but our two shops working hand in hand, we pulled this off. We pulled it off kind of in record time, February being a short month. The cool thing about that motorcycle was this is the first time I've ever co-opted with another shop. In other words, Cycle Nation, they have their own business. They sell new bikes. Of course, we build, customize, and sell, older things. I co-op with them in the sense that they disassembled it. I've never trusted anybody to do that. We did the body work, we painted it. And I went over yesterday to look at the bike. Man, it knocked my socks off. I said, you know what, I'm going to buy a raffle ticket. I want to win the bike. And I asked him, I said, is there any way you can bring it back for the show today? And we did. We brought the bike back for you to check out. And if you remember last month, we had a 34 Ford in the shop. We had the car tore down. It was under the tent. Mike was doing some wet sanding, cleaning the car, getting it ready to paint. And guess what? The car's done. And it's just what I told you to be, slick as glass. February was a short month, and it like to killed us, didn't it? But I will tell you this Friday, Daytona Bike Week, I'm gone. So the short month, and I'm going to go for 3 days of R&R. But let's take a look at the Abate motorcycle. Tim came over with it, and what do you think, Tim?
I think it's awesome. I think that somebody's going to be really lucky to get this bike for 20 bucks.
That's what it's going to cost, is 20 bucks. Now, let's go back over this a second. Abate's a non-profit organization. They're selling raffle tickets for 20 bucks a piece. Where can they buy the tickets?
Well, we're actually, now that the bike's done and completed, we're going to have it on display at Cycle Nation in McDonough, which is right off of exit 218. You can come in, you can get a raffle ticket, it's 20 bucks, but if you're not the lucky one to win this Roadster, you can also win, there's a 50-inch TV and then a rifle. So
nice.
But I think everybody wants to try to win this.
You ain't lying.
You can take a look at it and see your work.
Well, it's y'all's work too. I mean, I seen the bike before y'all tore it down, and we did the body work and the paint, and you guys reassembled it. The technicians over there are fantastic. The details they went through cleaning the bike up, but this is Campbell's Custom, so let's talk about the paint for a second. They let me paint it the way I wanted to paint it. And to me, that gets your best product. If they would have said paint it blue, red, and yellow, okay, blue, red, and yellow. But when they gave me artist discretion, man, that just lets my mind wander. I get to do some really cool stuff. What I did on the tank was this. If you remember last month's episode, I told you guys I wanted to do something old school, some colors that Indian Larry would have used. And he was big into gold colors. And of course, he's not with us anymore, but I kind of wanted to relive some of his paint. And of course, Chaston did an amazing job pinstriping. Chaston's never here on the day we filmed, and someday I'm going to get him. But what I did was I laid down black paint and then abalone pearl. Abalone pearl is one of the most expensive pearls you can buy, and I figured Abate deserved it. And that gives it all the different colors, the blues, the greens. The paint job on that bike is, I think, I was right around 30 some odd layers of paint. And I know that sounds like a lot, but to get the effect I was going for, I first had to paint the bike black. Took a couple of coats of black paint to paint it black. Then I used something called abalone pearl. Abalone pearl is an old school product. It reflects a lot of colors. It picks up blues, greens, reds. I mixed that with something called blending clear, and then I abalone pearled it. It probably took 5 coats to get it to my taste. Then I laid on the gold and silver metal flake in the flames, and as well as the insert. The scallop on the outside is just pure gold, and then Chaston outlined it all. Of course, the back fender, the front fender, the oil tank I even put abalone pearl on, and the front fender. And then you guys did an amazing job putting it back together and detailing it out. I tell you, I'm stoked.
Well, I think we had the easy job. My favorite part about the job that you guys did was no 2 times that you look at the bike do you see the same bike.
That's a fact.
Whether it's in a photograph or you just walk by it. The person that wins this bike ultimately, it's going to be so exciting for them to pull up to a red light, and depending on how the sun's hitting it, man,
you ain't lying. So it just, you know, it's just cool stuff. And when they gave me the discretion to do what I wanted to do, I knew what I was going to do. I was going to use the expensive stuff. So it is what it is. Either way, I appreciate you coming and bringing it back today.
Hey, we appreciate you guys, your contributions to it, and on behalf of A-Bait, the same thing. We really
we'll do something again soon.
Okay.
What you do in a car like that is you have to lay down the purple paint and 2 coats of clear, or a blending clear. It's a clear that allows me to see the paint job to make sure there are no imperfections. And if you took a look at the finish of that car, there were none. We've got the car done. In my opinion, man, this car is second to none. Now, it is a kit car. If you remember, I briefed a little bit about what a kit car was. They're also referred to as replica cars. And it's a copy of a 1934 Ford. Of course, the car is purple, it's slick as glass. It's got a modern V8 engine and automatic transmission. This car has air conditioning. The steps to get a car this slick, of course, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of labor. All the body work that goes into the car, you've seen some of it last month. The car was sitting under the tent, it was being wet sanded and prepped to go into the booth. The car got painted purple. It came out of the booth, got wet sanded, which makes it even slicker. Then it gets cleared and buffed and polished on top of that. Now, this car, I say it's a replica car, and it's not an exact carbon copy. They did things to this replica car or kit car that people would have done back in the day. The top has been chopped. The original cars had a lot taller tops. The front grille has a little bit of rake to it. In other words, it's laid back, it's slanted back some. And those are all things that the hot rodder back in the day would have done to this car to give it its personal taste. Now, the cool thing about this particular car is this. The customers that I did this car for, they're not afraid to drive it. In fact, this car makes an annual trip to Florida. That's a true show car. That customer shows that car. They show it actively and they drive it, which is, there's nothing better than having a classic car. Now, you can stick them away in a warehouse or a barn or your garage, get them things out on the highway and burn the road up with them. And that's what they do. They'll take that car to Panama City. It'll go to Mississippi to car shows. I built them a trailer a couple years ago. They pull a trailer with that car. If you want to, you can take a look at the inside of the car. It's got all the modern conveniences of, you know, what most of us drive every day. Nice plush seats, tilt steering, automatic transmission. It's got air conditioning. Of course, the doors open backwards, suicide, which is my favorite. I did that to my old truck. It's kind of an old hot rodder thing to do. But all in all, to me, it's just a beautiful car. And like I said, I promised you last month it'd be slick as glass, and it is. All in all, I think it's a beautiful car. And like I say, it's fixing to head back to the house. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this car in here. This is the Dodge I wanted to show you guys. And if you take a look at it, you think, man, this is not much. But I'll tell you this: the guy that owns this Dodge panel has a dream, and we're going to try to make that dream come true for him. Now, his goal is this. His goal is to have it look like the Beast, kind of unfinished, but still cool. The Dodge panel van, that's a rare car, truck, whatever you want to call it. I'm honored that we're doing it. It's designed to be somewhat of a rat rod. So it's not a car that's going to be finished like the purple car was. This car will still be a little rough around the edges. It'll be painted a low gloss black, kind of not shiny but not dull. And you know, this is a vehicle you just don't see. You just don't see Dodge panels. Yeah, you see Fords and you see Chevys everywhere, but you just don't see Dodges like this. Now, the cool thing about this Dodge is it's just an old body. That's all this is an old body. Underneath Underneath this old rusty body is a modern Dodge running gear. It's got modern chassis out of a Dakota and the Magnum engine out of the Dakota. You know, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, man, I seen that on an old MASH rerun. You know, that's what it reminds me of, something you'd have seen on the 4077 MASH show, you know, some kind of military vehicle. But now we got started on this probably a couple weeks ago. We got started on the back doors, and that's what Mike's over there working on. He's working on the back doors, trying to get them ready so they can be fitted to the truck. Stanley is fitting the front end, and it's got its challenges. Basically what's happened was the owner, the guy that owns this truck, he did some good work. He took the old body and he grafted it onto the Dodge running gear. And in doing that, he created us quite a few problems, didn't he, Stanley?
A lot.
A lot, Stanley says. He created us quite a few problems, but it's nothing we can't handle. We've got to get this whole front end to fit like it's supposed to. Stanley's in the middle of tweaking all this, and actually we've got to hand build the brackets to hold all this in place. You take a look under the hood, and it's the modern Magnum V6 out of a Dodge Dakota. The cool thing is, inside the truck, he grafted the entire Dodge Dakota dash, steering wheel, and whole firewall. He plans on putting the Dodge Dakota seats in it. Now our job is just the body work, just the fit and the finish. And then we're going to give it back to him and let him finish out the interior the way he wants to. Now, I pride this shop in the fact that I think there's nothing we can't do. But on this truck, we ran into something that we can't do. We can't rebuild these doors. I'll be honest with you, if it's on a car, we can do it, but this door's gone, man. There's no bottom half to the door. And in my mind's eye, I can't even imagine how I would go as to building something I don't even have. So the whole bottom of the door is missing. So we're kind of in search right now to find some new doors, if possible. If not possible, I'm sure Stanley can do some. Stanley, can you do some magic on these doors if we have to? Stanley was very frustrated today. He had a few choice words about it. All in all, it's a cool project. It'll probably be here 3 months, so you guys will get to see it again and again and again, I'm thinking. And we'll see how it comes out. The other thing I wanted to show you guys in the shop was a motorcycle that we're knee-deep into. Now, you just seen a motorcycle that was finished for A-Bait. We're knee-deep in a motorcycle for Warrior Golf Camps of America. If you remember on episode 1 or 2, I think it was, I showed you some things we built for them. Well, this is the next phase for those guys. Their charity is growing, and they're sponsoring motorcycle ride, a charity motorcycle ride. So what better to have lead the ride than a custom motorcycle that we built for them. We've got the bike tore down, and the idea behind this bike is that we're going to try to hit a military theme. We're going to try to make everything look old and tarnished. That seems to be the rage now. Yesterday I started brushing out the engine covers to see if I could get them to look the way I want to. I don't want anything shiny on this bike. If you remember the bike we just looked at, everything on it was so shiny it would blind you. Now that's good, that's cool. But on this bike I want everything to be dull. So I'm going to, like I say, hand brush out all the chrome, eliminate the shine. And over in the paint end of the shop, we've got all the parts of this bike, so we'll go over there and take a look at those parts. I'll give you an idea of what I plan on doing to those. This is all the pieces that we've got off the Warrior Golf Camps of America bike. And what we've done is we've ran these parts through the bead blaster, which these parts used to be chrome. The bead blaster etches them, gets them ready for a special primer, and then we're going to paint these parts. That's the tank and fenders off that bike. Now, I want to go with a military theme on this bike. They kind of gave me artist discretion on what to do. I think I want to do this. If you take a look at a military vehicle, everything is done in white. The stars, the letters, all the emblems are done in white, and then painted OD green or desert tan or or whatever application needs to be. And I think on this bike I'm going to do something a little different. But I still think I want to try to hit the military theme. What I think I want to do is this, I want to use a loud, wild color for the stars, the emblems, and all the decals that are supposed to be on. Of course, we paint them. We don't use stickers here at Campbell's. I think I'm going to use a wild color for those emblems and decals, and then I want to paint that OD green. And I want to use the OD green that is Korea era. You know, each era, the military changed their greens to different shades. So you know, OD green is not just a generic color. The Vietnam green was different than Korea green, which was different than World War II and even World War I. I think the OD greens are different for this, that in Vietnam the jungle had a different color than the mountains of Korea, than the lowlands of South Korea. And if you watch the evolution of our country's attire for the military guys and women that are serving, and the colors of the vehicle, it changes for the areas they're in. Some of the greens look brown, but Korea green to me is a true OD green. Now all of these parts here that are on the table, some of them will be finished in OD green, some will be finished in matte black. Like the exhaust, I think I'll finish in matte black. The chain guard and some of the other pieces I think will be OD green. So that's kind of my plan with this bike. And the wild color I use, well, I just don't know yet. I may use another green, something similar to the Zombie Slayer, something with some heavy pearls or metallic, something that you look at and say, oh, that's military, but wait, it's got a different color in there. So that's kind of my plan behind this. I've got Chuck building a custom sissy bar for this bike that will represent their organization real well. He's not let me in on what he's doing, but I'm sure it'll be spectacular. So maybe next month we can unveil this bike on the TV show. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? It's a project that I'm pretty excited about. Last episode we talked about the insurance stuff and make sure you get what you're paying for. Well, the month went by and I had a lot of questions. This is a Jeep Grand Cherokee that we're doing some minor repairs on, and it's minor insurance work. We've got to blend onto the door and we've got to repaint the fender. Now, not only repaint the fender, but we've got to replace it. If you remember last month's episode, I talked to you about insurance replacement parts. You know, you had used, you had aftermarket, and you had Kappa. Now this particular insurance job told me to purchase a Kappa fender. Well, you say to yourself, James, you know, that's all good and well, but how do I, the consumer, know that I've got a Kappa fender? Well, guess what? Every part is listed and labeled so you can identify what the part is. The E-coating, which is the black coating that you've seen on the fender, let's say the fender rusts. Well, it's guaranteed not to rust. Well, you call that 1-800 number, they'll look it up and they find out I bought it. They go through the proper channels, we get you another fender, we put it on your car. Tells you where it came from, it's got the SKU number and what part it was supposed to fit, and this identifies it as being a Kappa fender. So this guy gets what he pays for. His insurance company paid for a Kappa fender, and that's exactly what he gets. He doesn't get an aftermarket, he doesn't get a used fender. He gets exactly what his insurance company spec'd out. Now, if that had been an aftermarket fender, that warranty wouldn't be there. And it would be a thinner gauge metal. That fender is just as heavy as the factory fender. And in my opinion, better than a used fender. When you buy a used part, oftentimes you don't know what you're getting. There could be other body repairs in the used fender that you didn't know was there. So sometimes a Kappa's the way to go. And that's what the insurance specs, so that's what the customer got. And the example is this. That fender, $280, Kappa. If I'd have bought aftermarket, $79.95. So a big price difference there. But the important part is the customer got what he paid for.